Hi, this is Carl again from the Flour Mill and Trading Post in Camp, Missouri. Earlier we talked about handgun safety, okay? And one of the demonstrations I did when clearing a automatic pistol, I placed my hand too close to the muzzle. Now, one of my friends called me up and said, "Hey, Carl, even us experts make mistakes. So right now I'm gonna demonstrate what we should be doing, not what I did." So the first thing you want to do is pick up the gun and remove the magazine, okay? The second thing we want to do is wrap back the slide to ensure there's nothing in there. So now we know this particular firearm is clear and empty. But remember, always remove the magazine first, because if we didn't do it and pull back the slide, it would load another round in there if there was ammunition in the magazine. Okay? Now I'll give you another little tidbit. When loading an autoloader magazine into your firearm, put your index finger on the tip of the bullet that's in the magazine. Okay? This is for two reasons. One, it placed the bullet against the back of the magazine where it needs to feed properly. And second, with my eyes closed, I could find the magazine well. So in dark areas or something like that, and if you had to reload your firearm or tactical reload, it's simple. And all I'm going to do is press the slide release, and we're going to decock the pistol and put it back where it needs to be. All right. Now, what we're talking about when selecting a firearm is that it has good sights, easy to read, visible sights. And we brought some out here just to show you. The first one I'm going to show you is a Glock. This is more or less a standard type Glock sight, where the back is outlined and the front has a dot. And that's Glock. Okay. The second one we'll look at is SIG. Now this particular SIG sight or SIG sighting system is SIG lights. More or less, that's a night vision type sights. They will illuminate like crazy in the dark. So it's really a neat system, and it comes standard on this particular firearm. Okay, let's look at the next one. This is Taurus, an inexpensive, good gun, okay? And they use a dot system. Now the rear sight on this particular gun is fully adjustable for elevation and windage. And the last pistol we'll look at is this military surplus 9mm. Now this has basic sights, a square front sight and a notched rear sight. Now you can enhance the sights by painting a contrast color, like fingernail polish, the brightest thing you can find on your front sight, okay? So this is your basic run-of-the-mill sight, but it can be effective if you help yourself by illuminating that front sight. Okay, let's get these out of the way. Now remember I said a focused front sight will dictate where the bullet's going. Okay, so I'm going to show you a chart here, or what I just drew, that has proper sight alignment. Now this being the front sight and this being the rear sight. We notice the front sight is level with the rear sight and somewhat equal light either side of it. This is sight alignment. Now sight picture is what our eyes are going to see. Now if you notice this one, the nice focused front sight, which is crisp and clean, and the rear sight being slightly blurry. This is what we're going to see when we sight a gun. It's impossible for us to focus on the rear of the sight and the front of the sight at the same time. In fact, our target can be completely blur, but we're going to shoot into the center of whatever that target is. So when you come in our shop or any shop, what you want to do is, when you, if you're allowed to handle the firearm, you want to focus on that front sight. And here's another thing. This is what I want you to do. Notice I picked up the firearm, right? My finger on the trigger guard, all that good stuff that we talked about earlier. But when focusing, we want to put the front sight focused and then bring it into the rear sight. The front sight focused into the rear sight. We don't want to look through the rear sight and hunt for the front sight. It takes too much time. So when pointing a weapon, focus on the front sight and place it in the rear of the gun, or the rear sight. Well, I hope this helped you out a little bit. And if you come into our shop, we'd like to show you more about it. In fact, we'll even have you dry fire the firearm to see if it fits your hand. Well, thanks again. It's Flour Mill and Trading Post at flourmillandtradingpost.com. And we're happy that you came and looked at this. Thanks again. Bye.